Welcome. It's Wednesday, April 12th, 2023. I have to remind myself what year it is sometimes by saying it. Welcome to my podcast what is the name of my podcast? LAOboratory? Voices from LAOboratory? Lao, whatever the name of my podcast is. Today, I'm here to talk about the group LAOboratory. What is LAOboratory? How did it get started? And what exactly have we been up to? So LAOboratory is a women's collective that I started with 3 other women. It is a women's collective that centers and affirms women and non-gender conforming folks who are descendants of Laos, as well as our allies. So it is a space it's a niche space. Most of us, we are all Lao identifying women, and that is really the main intersection of how we've come together. And so what is it? We meet regularly once a month, and I facilitate these women through peer coaching. And so peer coaching is used, from what I understand, is that it comes from the field of education. So if you're not familiar with my work, I am a high school teacher. I work at the International High School at Prospect Heights in Brooklyn, New York. I've been teaching there. This is now my 10th year. I work at a progressive project-based learning school that serves almost all immigrant origin students and all multilingual learning students. So peer coaching is often used for developing projects. It's for looking at student work. It's for reflecting on work. It's for reflecting on teaching and goals. It's really just a structured way to listen and to attune yourselves to someone else's work and to also give them feedback. So we meet once a month. It's been a 6-month commitment. So we would meet 5 times over 5 months, and then the 6th month we would plan and attend and facilitate and execute our own retreat. How did this group get started? Well, it happened very organically. I live in Brooklyn, New York, and I'm a transplant, as most Lao people that I've met in New York City, the handful of us who are here are. I have a neighbor. I call her my neighbor, sis. Her name is Manivan, and we live in the same neighborhood. We've lived in the same neighborhood for several years now, and we've known each other for several years. We actually met, I believe it was in 2014 or 15. If you're familiar with Legacies of War held their first annual Lao NYC fashion show and fundraiser. And so this was an event that really immobilized a mass of Lao people. And it actually, it was the first time that a lot of us in New York City were discovering one another in an authentic way. It wasn't like we had to go and hunt for each other, but then there was just this event, this project that brought us all together, and it gave us a meaningful way to work with one another, and to also get to know one another. And so that is how myself and Manivan met, as well as several other Lao people who are still in the city, who are still connected. A lot of us met through that endeavor. And so Manivan and I met through that project, and Manivan is an artist. She creates beautiful work visually, and she's most recently become a paid screenwriter. And so her first short film is titled No Place Like This Place, and I starred in that film. Yeah, I was the Nang Aek of that film, a 15-minute film. I have no acting experience except for being a teacher, being a crazy teacher. Gosh, now I don't even, Consavan, I think is her name. The character that I played, Lao American artist who is a transplant to Brooklyn. Sound familiar? Um, so Manivan and we hadn't met in a while, and so I just remember seeing her post these really beautiful headshots that I don't even know if she took them of herself or somebody took them for her on Instagram. I hit her up immediately and was just like, I need some headshots. I need some new headshots because I haven't had headshots done in years. And those were free headshots that my principal's husband, who's a photographer, did for us for our school pictures one year. And so, I am heading in different directions professionally, and I don't look like that anymore. And so I really needed a headshot. And so I asked Manivan if we could get together, if we could have brunch, and if she would take some new headshots for me. So we got together, went to Mayfield, local spot here on Franklin Avenue, one of my favorite spots in Crown Heights. We had brunch, we had some drinks, and then we walked around, and she took some headshots of me just in the neighborhood, and they're the headshots that I still use currently. And we just had such an amazing day together. We communed, we caught up, we were like, what are you doing? What are you doing? We were both in very interesting places in our lives, transitional spaces, curious spaces, anxiety, nerve-wracking spaces. And it's really nourishing and grounding for me to just have connected with her that day. And so I remember the next day I texted her and just let her know that I really enjoyed our time together. And I went out on a limb and asked her if she would be down to committing to doing that monthly. And it was a resounding yes, which surprised me because, I think I'm always afraid to ask people for things, even though you find that people are actually very willing to give. But I am really glad that I took the step to ask her to give me her time and her energy, and we decided to ask two other people that we know who are Lao women based in New York City. I whipped up a flyer on Canva. Who knew? I am a graphic designer. I whipped up a flyer on Canva. I made a schedule. I made a really simple handbook, and we met, I think, like 2 or 3 weeks later at my place, and we kicked it off. We kicked off our work with vision boarding and food. We said we needed to have food. That was going to anchor a lot of our communing also. So we said food, and we were going to get together and have discussion. And so I told them that I would bring some peer coaching protocols that I use at work that I have found very effective, that I take a lot of these strategies with me into a lot of spaces that I go into, that is around collaboration, that is around coaching, that's around development, that's around listening, active listening to one another, and giving constructive and actionable feedback. So we met in July. We didn't meet in August. We met again in September. That was at Lena's place. She took us up to like her 30-something floor clubhouse. We ended that session with champagne. I remember it was just so amazing. It was our first coaching session, and I think a lot of my sisters, they felt a little nervous going into it because I know, I have to take a step back and just think about how I'm so used to this work and I do it all the time. But I have to take a step back and be like, how did I feel 10 years ago when I was asked to give feedback and asked to listen and asked to give opinions and thoughts and perspectives? But I think what was really powerful is that each of us felt like we had things to contribute just by being there, just by sharing our experiences, just by sharing our opinions, just by sharing the things that we are even hearing, the things that are resonating with us, like helping each other identify, hear, see, feel our blind spots, because often we are just so stuck in our shit because that's what we think is our shit. So to just have multiple perspectives, it gives this, and I love this metaphor, is it gives like a prism effect to knowing, seeing, understanding, that is not just relegated to one person, not just relegated to you. So we did that in September. We did it again in October. We held a retreat in November. We booked a really cute house upstate, thanks to Manivon. So Manivon has lots of cool artist friends. We brought our own food and we cooked all of our own meals. We planned our own workshops, and each person contributed and offered some type of restoration or learning activity. We talked about ourselves, we talked about community, we talked about culture. We asked so many good questions about what does it mean to be Lao women, Lao diaspora women. How are our experiences similar? Where do they intersect, right? But also, how are they different? How do they diverge? How are we dynamic in our experiences and in our identities and who we are? We left with a lot of good questions, about what that means to be a Lao woman here in America, right? To be displaced from this place that is called Lao, that is our homeland, our Ban. And why does it matter? Why are we even asking these questions? Why do we want to know? Why is it important to have this space to explore that and ask that question and just acknowledge that it's a valid and important question to ask? For me, Lao women, it's been really important for me and significant for me to focus on because we're such a unique time capsule of people. Lao people are not really immigrating to the US anymore. We were like a 20-year block capsule of people who came en masse, along with other folks from similar conflicts in that area. But I know Lao women the best. So I have been just wondering a lot more about Lao women, about my mom, about my grandma. I think about my grandma all the time. She passed 20 years ago. But she still shows up in my work, in my writing, in my thoughts, in my research. I wonder about my other maternal ancestors. What were their lives like? How can I even find out? And so actually being with these other women, sharing our stories, and that's really the best part, right? It's just the stories, helps to, helps me to speculate what the past was like. It also helps me to speculate what our future could be. So it's a, Lao futurism, but also a Lao speculative past, that we've been exploring through LAOboratory. We met again in December for our final meeting, and that was a space for us to reflect, for us to share our successes that we experienced in just those few months together, and to think about what LAOboratory could become. And so, I definitely wanted to continue the work. My original members, Manivan and Vicky and Lena, were also very interested in continuing the work, and growing the work. And they were the ones who really encouraged me to grow it, to think about creating a podcast, which, oh my gosh, I'm doing that right now, to think about creating other digital content, to think about other forms and formats to create access. So in the second iteration, basically starting in December, early January, I expanded access by making the group now virtual, and not location based. And so we are now national. So I was able to recruit 5 new members through social media. One of the members is actually my girl Brita, who we have, a more storied past. I got to know her really well through the Lao NYC project because she used to live in New York City. But also our parents know each other. Like, we kind of grew up together, but since we're a few years apart in age, like, we didn't really connect like that as children. So it's been delightful to say the least, to like connect with Brita, who's an amazing person in person. 2 other members, one member, Lottie, I met through my girl Janita, when they were visiting here in December, and I just started sharing, what I was doing and just asking people if they wanted to be a part of it, and just tapping into also my sister network of women, Lao women who I knew, who I've connected myself, on like a very spiritual level with, and just reaching out to them and telling them what I've been doing. And one, asking them for money, asking for monetary support. I'm getting much better at doing that. And 2, asking for other kinds of support, sharing, making recommendations. And so I hit up my sis, Sydney Vinglong, who is an actress, like renowned Lao American actress. And not only did she give me money, but she recommended me to another member, Pitt O'Donnell, who I think I might have met before actually in LA, but now she's a part of my women's group, and she's talking to other people about it, because I'm like finding out through other people. It's a wild web that this has become. So we are now in the middle of our second cohort. We have met 3 times already. We've done vision boarding. We have done 2 meetings of peer coaching. We've done a field trip, which I will tell you more about those in another episode. But we're gearing up to plan our spring retreat, which is going to be held in June, most likely in the Chicago or Minneapolis area. And then I and some of my laboratory folks are looking ahead to retreating in Laos, which I'm trying my best to make that happen in January. And I've already started to break some ground on that. I've been contacting possible venues in Laos, most likely going to be in northern Laos, in Luang Prabang. So We're looking at retreating at the Elephant Conservation Center in Sayabuli, which is the province that my mom is from. It's a elephant sanctuary that is right around Nam Tien Lake, which apparently I've been there before. I went there for the first time when I went to visit in 2017, and my family took me to a place called Huan, which is like it's like a floating restaurant on the lake. It's really, really cool. Um, and another place that we're looking at, because we might probably split the retreat into like 2 venues, just since it's going to be a monumental, first of its kind retreat for Lao diaspora women. So the other place that we're looking at is the Nam Khan Eco Lodge in Luang Prabang itself, off of the Nam Khan River. You know, a little bit of both. Like, we'll get a lot of nature from being in the jungle with the elephants. And I know a lot of us are looking forward to being around elephants. They're a very sacred animal to our culture. So yeah, those are the things that, you know, LAOboratory is looking at doing. And so my goal is to, once we wrap this cohort, is for me to restart, and I would love to have 2 cohorts in the fall, a cohort of between 6 to 10 more Lao diaspora women or allies of Lao diaspora women who are interested in communing and storytelling, and also peer coaching. You know, it is a very intentional space where we are developing something in our lives, whether it's personal or professional. But to do it among our group it's really special. So if you are interested, or if you know somebody who's interested in joining LAOboratory, a women's collective for Lao diaspora women and allies, please drop a line. Hit us up at LAOboratory, that's LAOboratory, at gmail.com. You can also find us on Instagram. We're pretty active, aka me. I'm pretty active on Instagram through LAOboratory as well, LAOboratory. You can check out what we've been doing, some of the work, some of our media. And also, we are looking for support. We're looking for monetary support. So you can help us out by signing up to be a community subscriber. So you can, it's sort of like Patreon, where you can subscribe and support us by giving us $5, $10, $15, $20 a month. This will help us in our content creation, because, you know, this ain't free. This mic was not free. But also to fund our work, our planning, retreat planning, you know, our labor, our ideas, to just allow us to dream fruitfully and think expansively about what this group could be, because it is so necessary. From just what my sisters have told me, like, it's necessary. It is apt. It is high time. It is crucial. It's here. We are here, and we are ready to talk about who we are and what we want. So join us. Thank you so much for listening to my very first podcast for LAOboratory. Sahtu.